Welcome to the Better Agent Podcast. If you're a real estate agent that's looking to grow your business, then you're in the right place. Whether you want to go from 5 to 10 transactions a year, or 10 to 50 transactions per year, or more, well, then this show is for you. I'm Josh Lavik, your host for the Better Agent Podcast, and in each episode, we'll bring you the tools, tips, and tricks directly from myself and some of the best leaders within the real estate industry. We have one goal in mind, and that's to boost your production and elevate your real estate game. Let's dive in and start creating a better real estate experience together. Welcome back to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, and on our show, we are committed to growth and agents that want to grow their business, and maybe you're doing anywhere from 5 transactions, want to get to 10 or 10 to 20, 20 to 30 or beyond, maybe 50 or more, who knows? But I'm committed to growth of my business and also committed to bringing on other guests and other leaders within the real estate industry to share their insights with all of you. And today I have a wonderful guest, Tou Yang is joining us, and lots of great insight and experience. And so without further ado, I hope you enjoy the show. But Tou, why don't you maybe kick us off and share a little bit more about your background and maybe how you got started in the business and where you're at now. And maybe tell us also, what do you think is your superpower or things that you do really, really well? So share with our listeners a little bit more about you.
All right, sure. Josh, thank you. First of all, just thank you for having me here. I'm really, really honored and appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. A little bit of background on me here. I graduated with an HR degree back in 2002 and have been working in HR a little bit. But at the time I graduated, it was the last recession, so sales was all my background. Insurance sales, health insurance, life insurance. I worked for Humana, United Healthcare, and eventually someone just kept telling me, whatever you do, work with people. Whatever you do, you work with people. You care about people. It shows in the way you talk. It shows in the way you act. I spent 15 years working at the local casino in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Oneida Casino. And even in those positions, I was an executive host that dealt with working some of the high-end players at the casino, and transitioned to a promotions department marketing program. And then eventually in 2017, my good cousin, good close friend, Will, came up to Green Bay and said, "Hey, I'm moving up here. I'd like to kind of settle down a little bit. I've been given permission to start a little agency up here by my broker called Creative Results. Why don't you work with me part-time and let's just see what you can do?" Being a single father at the time, you always had that fear, right? Oh, I need health insurance. I've got kids. So I agreed to do it on a part-time basis in 2017. By the end of 2019, he decided that he wanted to move back to Minnesota to be closer to his mom because she's getting older and he wants to help take care of her. So I took over on a part-time basis as a manager, but part-time agent still at the time. And then life kind of worked itself out in weird ways. 2020, we had COVID.
Yep.
The casino just shut down. So all I had was this. And surprisingly, it turned out to be my best year of real estate ever. I went from doing 6 to 12 sales, and I think I jumped to about 62 sales that year.
Holy cow. There you go. That's quite a jump.
Yeah.
That's the jump we're talking about at the show, right? It's like
exactly. So
where you started and where you ended up, way different.
Very, very different. And then I haven't slowed down, but when the casino opened, my good friend, he was my boss at the casino at the time, Ron, gave me a call. Says, "I don't think you're coming back, buddy." I told him, "Ron, it's going well. I don't think I am coming back." But it's one of those things where you kind of just have to jump into it full time.
Yeah.
And really go all out. Yeah. And that's really what happened here. And then I've been I started managing about 4 to 5 people. Now I've got a team of 11 agents under me as their team lead. So.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I mean, I've got a pretty similar story. I've been in this business a little bit longer. I started in 2005, but I remember my first year in the business was probably the hardest, and I had some modest success. I also was working kind of part-time bartending and waiting tables and stuff like that. And so, trying to make that shift. And then after about a year and a half, at that time, I was very similar, right? Like, if I'm going to do this business, maybe I need to go all in. Maybe I need to make that leap and just kind of go for it. So I remember distinctly making that shift, that mental shift for me anyway. And just like, I didn't have COVID at the time, but I had, it was like, I'm just going to go part way, or am I going to go all the way? And so I had already noticed back then, right, some of the best agents and team leaders and brokers in the business, like this wasn't a hobby. This was people that were all in. So as soon as I made that mental shift, boom, my business took off immediately and got better and better every year. And every year I committed a little bit more, and kind of similar. I've been, sort of at that level of 30 to 50 sales a year for several years, and just kind of, been able to maintain where that's at right now. But yeah, I think it's a kind of business. It can be scary for a lot of people getting started, and especially if you're not used to, that commission-based 100% commission-based business and career path, it can be scary. But if you do go all in, I think you bet on yourself to really make that commitment and really grow. And so, yeah, we have a smaller team. We're over here in Madison market, but we're also obviously looking to grow and partner with other great agents out there and in our market as well. So very cool. Well, I like that. So what do you think are some key things that you do or have done that ensure your clients really have a good experience when they work with you? What key things do you think you do that's a little bit different and above and beyond?
I always tell people, sometimes think that I don't do it seriously. And I always tell people, I'm going to be that punching bag. I'm going to handle all the hard stuff, difficult stuff behind the scenes. And I'm going to just let you know what you need to know so we can get this deal moving along. Now, we always have that situation where you
what does that mean? What do you mean by that? Punching bag? I mean, we're not boxing here. What do you mean by punching bag?
Getting into the negotiation phases, there's certain things that certain things that the listing agent or the buyer's agent tells you, and you're like, man, it might be a little bit hard, but I don't always go right back to my client right away. Look, this is what we're faced at.
Yeah.
But I go back and say, let's find different ways. Let's find alternatives to resolve these issues. And I think I really take a good role in working with the other agent on the other side.
Yeah.
And saying, hey, what can we do to resolve some of these issues? What would you like done? Here's what my client would like done. Let's meet somewhere in the middle, because sometimes it's all about coming to a common ground.
Yeah.
And then I think my biggest strength, a lot of people say, oh, you're just hiding yourself. But my biggest strength is doing things with honesty and integrity. I just don't take shortcuts,
Sure.
I just don't. I always joke, I have too many clients to remember who I lied to. So I'm just going to tell the truth.
Yeah. Well, yeah, certainly that's 100% a fact. I mean, if, agents without integrity, or in any business, really, I mean, if you don't have honesty and integrity in what you do and what you say, you're probably not going to be in business very long, is kind of the bottom line. So that's, in my opinion, really table stakes. And any successful agent is going to show up with integrity, with honesty, and their words are going to match exactly what they do. It's too easy for, especially now, right? Like if you lie about something and somebody finds out about it, I mean, it's being blasted out on whatever social media or review sites or wherever, right? I mean, your integrity is huge in this business.
It's the old saying, you tell the truth, it goes to 2 people, but you tell a lie, it probably goes to 10 people. So it doesn't help your reputation. So
yeah, for sure. No, I think that's I couldn't agree more with that. So yeah, I know some of the things. Yeah, we definitely have that as a part of what we do as well. And one of the things too, you talk about the negotiation. I don't know if I've never really thought about it as being kind of the punching bag, but it's definitely a skill that I've developed over the years. That's maybe similar, or something I kind of do too. That's like, I don't always take things personally, right? And this sometimes can be a very emotional time for a lot of people, right? That selling and buying your primary residence, your home, it's an emotional thing. But as an agent, as a good agent that steps in there, you need to not take things too personally. Like, yeah, this is okay. They made a low ball offer. Okay, so what? So we can make a counter offer, a different offer. How do we find different options, different solutions? And talking about what those different options and solutions could be is absolutely going to bring value to your clients. I totally agree with that.
I completely, what you said there is so true. Bring that value. And I think a lot of times agents are so quick to just end things without trying to meet and find a common ground. You obviously have to do what's best for your client. I have to do what's best for my client. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of common ground that we forget to even look at.
Yeah, no, and sometimes those are hard conversations, right? Like say you're doing an inspection and you're negotiating something and you don't agree, what's the defect or what's the issue? But like, if we can continue the dialogue, hopefully long enough to work through that, to find the common ground and find a solution that does work, usually you're able to keep that together. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Well, tell me, so obviously you've had big success growing your business and growing your team. You've got 11 agents with you now. I mean, tell us maybe a little more about rituals or things that you do to help keep you motivated and staying on task, or what's maybe like schedule, or what do you do? Anything that maybe comes to mind that really helps you stay focused?
Well, for me, I'm a single father. I've got 2 boys, so I think that's the biggest motivation, right? I'm at that age now where they're both in college. So if you don't motivate yourself to keep working, I always look at it as I'm just teaching my kids to give up, So that's your biggest motivation, waking up every day. And when they see you hustle and they see you grind, one's in Milwaukee and one's in Madison. And I always have to remind them, when you guys come home and you see me up at 6 a.m. and sometimes I'm out till 1 or 2 in the morning at the office, I hope you put that same mentality there, the same mindset into what you do at school, and you'll succeed. So definitely family is the biggest motivation there. But, I like to keep myself updated, find out what the new trends are in the real estate world.
Yeah.
My corporate office is based out of St. Paul. So I remember when I first started writing offers with accelerator clauses or appraisal gap coverages.
Yeah.
And the response I got a lot of times, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've never heard of this,
Okay. Yeah.
I remember telling one client, I've been writing for 6 months like this, and I've been getting most of my deals done. That's the only way to do it. Well, sure enough, it's everywhere, not everywhere and anywhere now, right?
Yeah, right. You see the competing offers. That's certainly appraisal gap coverage and inspection waivers, right? That's something that didn't exist. I mean, I started 19 years ago. None of that existed.
No one knew it.
Yeah. What is that? Yeah.
So it's just those things, always the need to learn, the need to keep myself updated with what the trends are. But, education, I always joke with this lawsuit that just happened. If we don't take the time to learn that, we're really outdating ourselves. I always joke with my agents, if you're still working with that 2023 mindset, you're already outdated.
Yeah.
Laws have changed. And as you know, forms have changed. Right. So.
Yeah, all our forms in Wisconsin have changed. And if you're not on top of those, I mean, if you're not continually learning and growing, I mean, I'm a big learner. I'm a big reader, right? I'm always picking up another book and always going to another conference or class or something for exactly that reason. So I'm just like you, staying on top of trends and staying on top of things. I mean, you got to be in the know and really continue that foundation of learning and that kind of thing. So
you can never learn enough.
No, you can never learn enough. Yeah, you always got to keep sharpening the saw, as they say, right? And keep on going at it. But no, I love that you said that, for your single dad and your kids are definitely a big motivator, and that's awesome, man. I think that's true for a lot of people. I mean, I have 3 kids as well, and my wife, and they're a big motivator for me, right? I want to try to be a role model for them. But I think sometimes just having that reason, right? That big why, right? For you to, why are you doing this business? Why are you going to be successful? Really identifying that. And sometimes, there's some books and authors, right? They talk about having a big why. And sometimes it doesn't need to be that big. It can be as simple as, hey, I just want to provide for my family. I want to be a role model for my kids. I want to, whatever. I mean, when I first started in the business, I didn't have any kids, but I just wanted to prove it to myself. I was a young kid in my 20s myself. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to prove it to myself that I could do this business at a high level. And so, but tapping into the why will give you hopefully enough motivation to step forward and say, hey, I'm going to make this work and I'm going to figure it out. And identifying that on a regular basis is pretty important.
A lot of times it's finding that why. I used to joke. I used to do life insurance sales, and I used to joke. I would walk, and Will, who got me started in this industry, I used to joke. I did life insurance, and he did mortgages at the time. Yeah. I used to joke. We go to the office at 10 a.m. and we go to lunch at noon, but it's a 3-hour lunch. So we come back, it's 3 p.m. Well, look at that. It's time to go home. We didn't have our why. We didn't know what our why was. Yeah. But once we found that, he became a really successful realtor on his end. This has really helped me get to where I am. And it's knowing your why, finding your why, and, keeping that as your motivation is the biggest thing. So
absolutely. Super important. Love that for sure. Cool, man. What do you think? So tell me more. I don't know, maybe we should talk more about other skills or things to develop. I know we talked about always learning and growing. I mean, if you were really trying to go from, doing a handful of transactions to 30, 40, 50, whatever, what key skills do you think really helped you in that growth and that trajectory?
I think in this business, a lot of people look at it as a sales job. And I always tell people, this isn't a sales job, man. We're matching people with their dreams. You've got a lot of first-time homeowners or people looking to buy their permanent last home, as they call it, or
Yeah.
they're looking to settle down. The biggest thing we have to know and the biggest skills we have to have is trying to find out what their needs are, you know?
Yeah.
I always joke with my team. It's like dating, right? If you ask a girl, do you have a boyfriend? And she says, yes, where do you go next, right?
Yeah.
You walk away. But if you find out their needs and what the reason is that whether they're willing to talk to you or why they want to talk to you, especially in the real estate market, then you start meeting those needs when you give them the right homes that they're looking at. You know, if someone's telling me they need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I keep showing them two-bedroom homes, it doesn't serve their needs. Eventually, they get turned away. When you find out what their needs are and you work towards meeting their needs, I think that's what it takes to be a very successful realtor in what we do. And the most important skill is listening. We do a lot of talking in our job, but when we don't listen to them, we can't get back to them what they want to hear, what they want to see, and what they want to find, which is the home that fits their needs. So
yeah. Oh man, I couldn't agree more, man. I've totally experienced that, and something our team trains on too. A lot of our new agents coming in, you know, we have definitely trainings on exactly that, right? Finding their needs is a skill, and it's maybe not just taking what they say at face value. Yeah, I just need a 2-bedroom, or okay, well, why a 2-bedroom? What's important about a 2-bedroom? What do you, or a 3-bedroom, right? How do you plan to use this, right? Going kind of that next layer deeper to kind of really get additional insight will help you better understand your customer. But also, I think by doing that, you're also showing your customer that you're listening, that you are doing exactly that. You're listening to them. They're hearing you, and like even, you know, mirroring back what you heard, right? It lets them know that you are listening. And super important skill. And it's maybe not intuitive too. I think a lot of agents I know I've worked with before, just if they're brand new, sometimes that's not as, it might not be a skill that they're comfortable with unless they've been in, you know, another consulting type of a role or something like that before. But sometimes it may need to take additional effort to really hone in that active listening skill and mirroring and matching your client and hearing what they're saying. Yeah, totally. Very cool. All right. We talked about a bunch of stuff. I don't know what, anything else that's coming up for you that you're kind of curious about or wanted to share with some of our listeners today about what you think it takes to improve their business and their life?
You know, as we're speaking today, there's a group meeting of agents today that I just couldn't make because scheduling. But, you know, I encourage any new realtor or startup realtors to definitely get out there and network, meet other agents, find out what's working for them. You know, I have people on my team ask, how do you do this? And I always give them how I do it. But I always finish with, go talk to another agent, see how they do it. And you find out what method works best for you. Just because it worked for me, it may not work for you. So now find the right resources, and you're going to meet other agents, not in your same company only, but in your same industry that will be more than willing to share those skills and knowledge with you. And that's how you truly succeed, is taking the opinions of others, finding out what works for you and implementing it into your
So can you tell me, like, even for yourself, what have you found to be your niche that you honed in on, or what do you feel most comfortable with?
When I first started, you know, it was a lot of first-time home buyers, right? And I had to look at myself in my own personal situation. When I was married, we were looking at homes. And I kind of just felt like some of these agents start talking to you and they don't give you enough information. So you look at a house, you come back, and now you got 5 or 10 things you're wondering about what's going on, right? Do I have it all? So now when I take first-time home buyers, I tell them, you're gonna have this thought once we put the offer in. I drove to Menominee, Wisconsin the other day, 4 hours. I did it because I grew up there. I went there, showed some homes in the morning. I came home, got the accepted offer. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I noticed a text at 2 a.m. I've got second thoughts. Am I doing the right thing? You know, and I had to call him. And I said, you remember when we were having lunch at noon and I wrote the offer? I told you those thoughts would come up. You know, those thoughts would come up. And here's what I can assure you. Here's what we looked at 4 other homes. And we came to this conclusion that we're going to write this offer because it met your needs. It didn't meet every need. It met the majority of your needs. And we know in a small town, you don't get too many opportunities to look at houses because houses don't come up, you know?
Right. Yeah. They're just in a small town. There's not as many available for sure.
Sure enough, when I went back on Tuesday to do our inspection, he said, thank you. Thank you for reassuring me. I know this is the right decision. And then when we got through with the inspection and the inspector had nothing but positive things to say about the house, he felt more confident. And he just said, hey, you know what? I think some people would have given up on me. And I told him, you remember we talked at 5 a.m.? I told you, if you want to back out, I'll do what I can.
Yeah.
But you know what? I really honestly believe that's the best decision, but I can't force you to keep it. If you know in your heart, that's not what you want. Just think it thoroughly. So
yeah, no, I think that makes sense, man. It's like kind of have that moment of, right, talk people off the ledge. Oh my gosh, I just made this offer. Oh, it's a mistake. Maybe not. But, I think I often share with many of my clients, right, if we can get 8 or 9 out of the 10 things you want, like that's a total win. And, a lot of times if there's even limited inventory, sometimes a 6 or 7 might be a win, right? Like it just kind of depends, even getting everything you want. I've had a number of clients that build brand new homes, right? And as soon as the home's built, oh, I wish I would have done this, or this, or I would have done that different if I had done this, right? Like even building brand new, like you start from scratch, you can get everything you want, you think, but there's always trade-offs or some things always not quite right. So I think it's just a matter of negotiating those trade-offs with yourself and with your clients of saying, okay, what's most important to me are, these 5 things or whatever it might be. And, as long as we have that kind of top 3 to 5 things that are most important, if we're hitting those, like totally that's a win. And so, I think just even reminding people too, or just questioning that, right? Is it reminding them, hey, you said this was important to you. I think it's a good fit for you. Or maybe it's questioning that. Is that still the case? Is that still important to you? Is this small town? Is this whatever type of home still most important or not? Or do you need to pivot? So no, I think that's a good skill set too, for sure, to develop. Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. Yeah. I think you hit something too, mindset. Having the right mindset. I think a lot of people come into this industry based on what I've seen and interviewing with people. They come to this industry working a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. And that mindset is, I have to be done at a certain time and put the book away. Yes, you have to make time for yourself. You have to do that. But this isn't a 9-to-5 industry. So.
Yeah. No, that can be. There's no one punching a clock, right? I mean, I don't have a punch a clock. So, I think I remember early on for sure, many late nights I've spent working and that kind of thing. I don't think, I wasn't able to get, more balance in my business until I had gotten to a certain level of success and I had additional funds and I could hire an administrative assistant. And I remember at that moment, then I could get some things off my plate. But a lot of those, if you're brand new, those administrative tasks, managing the paperwork, uploading things, getting that stuff done still is important. It has to happen for it to move your business forward. But like, if you don't have an assistant, you are one. And so, I remember also the first administrative assistant I hired, my business grew 50% that year. And so that, to me, I would say was pivotal in my growth as an agent and as a team leader. Was like, if you're still an agent wanting to grow to that next level, but you don't have administrative help in some capacity, whether that's part-time or full-time, like if you don't have administrative help, then you are the administrative help and you're probably going to have to put in longer hours or try to hire that out when you're ready as soon as possible, would be my opinion. If I'm going to relocate to Green Bay or another community, if I was going there tomorrow, I'm hiring an assistant from day one because I already know my skill set is not everything and I need to take some things off my plate. So that's my thought anyway.
Definitely. And I have to agree with you. And I still admit my biggest weakness is sometimes I think I can do it all.
Yeah.
I find myself some days being the administrative assistant to being the realtor. And on top of that, sometimes we're the psychologist for our clients as well. So
talk it all through, and it's easy to wear multiple hats.
Yes.
And sometimes we just gotta take some of those off a little bit more, peel back that onion, and make that investment to have a little bit more leverage for sure. So
definitely,
Well, cool, man. Well, we've touched on a lot of things. I don't know anything else that you're dying to share, or any other areas that you think would be helpful for our listeners today?
I think what I'm dying to share, I think a lot of people left the industry when the law changed.
Yeah.
Out of fear, right? I think it's a lot of fear, a lot of the unknown. For these that have just started, stay the course. For those that have been doing it but aren't sure what they want to do, really stay the course. I think the market is not changing in terms. We're always going to have someone needing a home. We're going to always have someone needing to sell a home because they're either looking to upgrade or downgrade or get to the next step in life. Stay true to yourself. You work with integrity. I think, again, I can't stress that enough. Yeah. But I think this real estate industry goes through phases, right? Changes is what keeps this industry going. Adapt to the changes and work your way through the difficult time. And I think you said it yourself, you've been there for 20 plus years. You've seen the phases and you stay in the course, and that's why you're successful in doing what you do as well. I think sometimes people just give up a little bit too easy. And stay the course. 2-3 years from now, we're probably going to look back and say, remember when there was that lawsuit and everything changed and we couldn't do this and couldn't do that?
August 17th, 2024 was a defining moment, no question. I mean, that'll go down in the history books, that's for sure.
I really feel like 2 years from now, 3 years from now, we're going to look back on that date and wow, we all freaked out like it was Y2K all over again, so.
That's a good point. I think there is a lot of fear in the industry and a lot of uncertainty, and certainly our conversations have shifted because of the lawsuit, and how agents are compensated has totally shifted a little bit. But it's having that learning mindset that we even talked about earlier, right? How much of that, like just taking that mindset of like, oh, okay, there's a change, no big deal. Great, form changed, no big deal. Like taking that in stride and just knowing that's a part of this business. That's a part of what value you bring as an agent to your clients, is like, hey, this is how it is and this is how it works, and just getting comfortable with those conversations. And I think I like that mentality. We'll look back in 2 or 3 years and laugh about how uncertain it was, and if we just have enough courage to keep going and enough insight to keep the dialogues going, people do want and need our help through a transaction, right? I mean, real estate transaction is not like buying groceries, okay? This is a very expensive purchase, one of the largest purchases that most people will make in their lifetime. And I think having our guidance through that process and our experience is hugely impactful. And we've already proven that just in the last few months, like we've still had buyer clients and seller clients that have, still hired us to work with them, and they're going to continue to do so because they see the value in doing that.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Tou, I really appreciate you coming on our show today and dropping lots of insight and sharing more about your experience and your leadership and guidance. And really had a lot of fun chatting with you here today on our show. So
thank you. I really enjoyed it. Again, thank you. It's an honor to be on the show. So I truly appreciate you having me here. So,
all right. Well, again, to our listeners, you're listening to the Better Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Lavik, here with Tou Yang, and hope you enjoyed our episode today about learning how to get better and better in your real estate business. If you're interested in hearing more, feel free to tune into the next episode. Hope you guys have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to the Better Agent Podcast. I hope you found today's insights valuable. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for more tips, Q&A sessions, and sneak peeks into our 21-day challenge. To get full access of our show notes and more details on the 21-day challenge, go to abetterrealestateexperience.com. Keep striving for greatness, and I'll see you on the next episode.